one scholarship gave me over $300,000. There was a 0.01% acceptance rate. The scholarship covered tuition, room, board, meals, textbooks, and it gave me a $10,000 personal development stipend, meaning I basically got paid to go to school. For background starters, my name is Yari and I went to Villanova University. The scholarship that I've been talking about is their presidential scholarship. And I also got into other universities like Carnegie Mellon University, University of Southern California, UCSD, and a few others. And I'm telling you all this because I want to give you the insights and the background of what made it possible for me to achieve this, because I am not the most exceptionally smart person. Yes, I am a hard worker, but I mean, why me? And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly everything I did to receive this scholarship and get into these dream universities. And that's going to include GPA, SAT, extracurriculars, all of it. I'm hiding nothing. And most importantly, I'm going to tell you that one key thing that made my application stand out. And it's something that you can do too. So be sure to stay till the end of the video for that. And if this content is somewhat intriguing to you already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because I will have plenty more content to give you the tips and tricks to absolutely kill the application cycle. Okay, so before getting into the meat of everything, I want to take 1 minute to say that there are so many variables that go into the scholarship decision process. There are so many qualified applicants, and at the end of the day, sometimes the person who deserves it the most doesn't always get it, and it sucks. But I also realize that on another day, or another year, or another month, there's a very high chance that I wouldn't have gotten this scholarship. There are so many talented people out there, but all we can do is just prepare ourselves the absolute best that we can, and then trust that God will guide us to where we are meant to be. I prayed the Divine Mercy Chaplet every single night after I submitted that application. And it was not with the prayer intention of getting the scholarship, but just the request that Jesus would guide me towards his will and give me peace in the rejection or a heart of gratitude if I got the acceptance. And as I prayed this, I eventually did genuinely get to a place of true surrender to God's will and plan for me. And I knew that whatever the result would be, it would be God's will, and it's always going to bear fruits, even when we can't see it right away. So if you don't get to the dream that you're looking for, it's going to be okay. You're going to make amazing opportunities out of whatever flies your way. And I think it just provides so much peace when you can surrender that will and give it to God, and he will take care of the rest. I promise you that. And yes, it did work out for me, and what a blessing that has been. But I would be okay otherwise, and you will too. But hopefully with the advice that I'm going to give you, you will be set up to succeed and reach that dream that you are headed towards. Okay, now back to the school talk. So a little background on me. I was a hardworking high school student, but I wouldn't consider myself a supernaturally smart person, the kind of person who can ace a test without studying or do super quick math when the bill comes to the table after dinner. To be honest, my SAT was below average for most schools and scholarships that I applied for. I got a 1370. Yes, that score is good, but for a lot of the things that I was applying for, it was way below average. I'm just not a time test person. And I'm saying all of this because if your SAT or let's say your GPA isn't exactly where you want it to be, I don't want you to automatically disqualify yourself from a lot of the opportunities that you're going for. And I would say that where I do excel is my work ethic. When it came to extracurriculars, I chose a few favorites and I stuck to them. I took journalism and speech and debate all 4 years, and I ended up not being too great at speech and debate, but that's okay because I just didn't make it the focus in my application. But in journalism, I worked really hard to turn that section of the school newspaper around, and I have a whole story about how that ended up, and I actually ended up being able to use that as a key highlight in my essays. So if you have any experiences where you're able to transform something or just show your work ethic or a certain leadership skill, whatever it is that you're trying to display, take note of that now because it's going to be super key in your essays. And then other background, I had a couple summer internships and I wrote for a few school newspapers. And then athletically, I was definitely very involved, varsity track and cross country, club soccer, varsity soccer. I'm just saying all of this once again so you have an idea of what kind of background might fit for some of these opportunities. And just a side note, no, I did not get any athletic scholarships. How about GPA? So while I wasn't a time test person, thankfully school tests were more manageable for me. And after 1,000,000 hours of studying, I was able to finish high school with a 4.4 GPA. GPAs are measured differently, so take that as you will. But once again, just a marker for how things were. And once again, if your application isn't totally perfect, don't disqualify yourself before applying. I thought most schools and scholarships I applied for would cross my name right off the list because my SAT wasn't high enough. but I was wrong. And that leads me to this next point, which is super important. There is actually one key thing that I think made my whole application stand out and got me to be that top percent of applicants. And this game changer is storytelling. They receive 1 million applications, right? So many people that were probably more qualified than me. So why would they give an opportunity to me? And looking back at it, it is more clear than ever that my strength was the ability to tell good stories. In fact, you could have the most amazing experiences and be the most accomplished candidate, but if you don't know how to articulate your experiences into a story that they'll remember, then you're going to have a much harder time getting noticed by the committees. If you do want help with that, I am offering opportunities to edit college essays, and I'll put a link of my calendar down below so you can sign up for time, because I'm telling you, this was what made me stand out from everyone else, because I used every single essay as an opportunity to tell an individual story, and the kind of story that makes the reader get to know who I am as a person. And not only that, but the whole entire application should tell one holistic story. Think about what you want the committee to think about you once they read the whole application. If you have so many scattered experiences that don't tie together to a central theme, it's going to be harder for them to walk away and be able to regurgitate what the application said about you. So how I want you to think about this is to, before even getting into the application process, write 1 sentence, 1 to 2 sentences actually will work, that describe what it is you want the committee to know about you when this ends. Kind of like the theme of a novel, you know, what is going to be their main takeaway about you? Is it that you have an entrepreneurial spirit? Or that you're always creating? Is it that you are a challenger who loves to step outside your comfort zone? Or is it that you are a change maker who has deeply impacted their surrounding communities? Make sure that your whole application reflects that. So when they walk away, they can say, for example, she is a leader who uses her journalistic background to implement change in her local community. That's something similar to what I did. And then I used different experiences on my college app to display that holistic message. Sure, maybe not every single thing tied back to that exact message, but holistically, that is what they would walk away with. Hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. And of course, yes, the application right now does include the essays, but if ChatGPT or something else were to change that to another format, video, audio, whatever, the lessons here would still be the same. You need to tell a story. In fact, the human brain is wired for stories. We love them. The curiosity they create, the connection, the way we grow with the main character, etc. We've all seen the essays that look something like this. Here we have essay number 1. So if you pause the video and take a moment to read it, you will see that this essay is more of an explanation than a narrative. The individual themselves is impressive, but they are missing out on the opportunity to leave a memorable impact. So now compare that with essay number 2. Pause the video here and take a moment to read this essay. Okay, now that you've had a chance to read it, let me know in the comments how you would compare the two. Do you agree with me that the second essay leaves more of a lasting impression? It's the same candidate, and essay number 1 talks about more accomplishments, so do I have it wrong? Let me know what you think. Because here's the thing. You have the rest of your application to talk about your various accomplishments, and too many ideas at once becomes just confusing. So by drilling in on one example that highlights a skill of yours, the reader is going to be able to do 3 things. Number 1, they're going to remember your essay better. Number 2, they're going to get to know you as a person better. And number 3, they're just going to enjoy the read, which is honestly a bigger deal than you might think. So if this one side-by-side example is just not enough for you and you want to see more, let me know in the comments. I will go into a lot more detail about how to write a great college essay in another video, so be sure to subscribe so that you can see that video as well.